Published 1829 EDT, the 4th of November 2017. Updated 1950 EDT, the 4th of November 2017. So, where are we with England ahead of the November tests? We know they are ranked second in the world behind New Zealand, and Eddie John's record of just one defeat in 20 matches since taking over is outstanding. But being harsh and realistic, which is what Eddie will have been in camp this week, where exactly are England on the road to Tokyo and the World Cup in 2 years? It has been a confusing summer, with many English players involved to a greater or lesser degree with the Lions in New Zealand, while a youngish experimental team won a very entertaining but incredibly loose couple of games in Argentina that showcased both sides' attacking abilities rather than their defensive qualities. My instinct, therefore, is that England need to park the events of the summer. They only confuse the picture. Saracens fly half. Owen Farrell is now the key going forward for England and Eddie Jones. For me, to plot the future, England need to go back to March in a rather stark defeat by Ireland in Dublin, when they were shooting for the Grand Slam and came up short by some distance, although the 139 scoreline wasn't too painful. Anybody who ed that match will know it wasn't remotely that close. Ireland are a very good side, fourth in the world and rightly so, and their pack was just too good for England that day. The stats showed they won 65% possession, which is a bit scary considering that England started with 5 Lions in their pack, 6 if you include Billy Vunipola, who later dropped out. And England had an entire trio of Lions front row players on the bench in Mako Vunipola, Jamie George and Kyle Sinckler. The time is very close for England to formally hand the captaincy to talisman Farrell. That's my first concern. Are the England forwards anywhere near as good as we thought? It's all up for grabs this autumn for England forwards looking to make a name for themselves. Nobody is safe, no combination should be ruled in or out. What is England's first choice lineup at lock? It's all very well being embarrassed for choice, but what is actually the first choice pairing among Maro Otoya, Courtney Lawes, Joe Launchbury and George Cruz? Are England getting the best out of that quartet? What's the best balance in the back row? A clutch of new number 7s will be tried. Sam Underhill, Tom Curry, Sam Simmons. But is any of them the answer? The absence of Billy Vunipola through injury deprives the team of a big ball carrier, so Nathan Hughes must step into the breach, but England should avoid the temptation of moving Lawes or Otoya back to 6. Blindside flanker is a very specialist position. John's record of just one defeat in 20 matches since taking over is outstanding, and who is the starting hooker despite huge success on the Lions tour? It's still very close with Dylan Hartley, who is the incumbent. It's not a done deal yet. Despite a rash of injuries that have accounted for Elliot Daly, Ben Teo and Johnny May, England can still field a high-quality back line, but to get the best out of them they need to play at a higher tempo for longer. That starts with the forwards putting some pace into the game and maintaining it for 80 minutes. If they can give the England backs that platform, then we could see some fireworks. We saw George Ford go very well in Argentina and he has looked in good nick for Leicester, so he's the logical choice at 10, but I would like to see Owen Farrell get at least one start at fly half. I fancy that's the position that he covets, just as a natural goalscorer generally prefers wearing the number 9 shirt. But it's a little more nuanced than that. I rate Henry Slade very highly, but I don't see him as a 13. He's a 12 if ever I saw one. In which case I'm very curious to see how a Farrell-Slade combination might work out. It's tempting to say leave the experimentation for the Samoa game last up, but we would learn much more if such a combination were put to the test against either the Pumas or Australia. Farrell is now the key going forward in so many ways, including, I suspect, in the matter of captaincy. I look at him on the pitch and he is now the de facto leader of every team he plays for. The time is very close for England to formally hand him the captaincy. In fact, do it now. Hartley has done a fine job steering England into smoother waters after the 2015 World Cup, but now he must concentrate time on his fight with George to keep the England hooking spot. That selection issue must not be clouded by Hartley being the captain. I've always been a Hartley fan and he still has much to offer. There are few hookers better in the Titan if he works on his fitness. He's got a few miles on the clock yet. But from now on it must be a straight choice every time between him and George. It's time for Eddie to be ruthless in every selection he makes.